Hey, good afternoon to you. Mark Suttoth, HurricaneTrack.com here. Off-season edition of the Hurricane Outlook and Discussion continues now. Brand new year, brand new me. Welcome to 2019, January 2nd. Before I get started, I want to talk a little bit about something that happened to me. Kind of explain my absence over almost the past 2 weeks. And then we will get started with discussing a few things with the off-season outlook and discussion, right? So basically, on the 20th, I had basically what you would consider a dissection of my aorta. High blood pressure for a long time, getting fatter and enjoying life's, great foods and all the sitting around doing stuff that I do. Wasn't taking care of myself, and it caught up with me. The good news is, despite it putting me in the hospital for a week, I am on the road to recovery. Things are looking fantastic. In fact, I met with one of the surgeons today. No, I haven't had to have any surgery. Everything's being treated medically, which is the first incredible sign. I'm only 48 years old, so that's a big plus too. But we're going to manage this medically, and I'm going to be able to basically have Mark 2.0 come out of this. Big wake-up call. A lot of people in my family have taken notice. A lot of my dear friends tried to keep this off of social media as best I could until I could address it with you guys personally. I've gotten to know a lot of you, even if just your screen name or whatever, through the comments, and some of you personally as supporters of what I do, etc. It all matters. And kind of like hurricane preparedness, if you don't take the advice of people like me when I try to give it to you regarding awareness and preparedness, the same goes for medical issues. If you ignore things like high blood pressure, guilty, it'll catch up with you. But I met with one of the surgeons today, or the surgeon today here in Wilmington, and boy, he had some really good news, and said that it's kind of a rare situation, but said my aorta was healing and doing very well. That was a big boost in spirits for me. So, I already lost like 15 pounds. It's crazy, which is great. Keep it up. I'm going to keep going. And by the time we get to May, I'm going to be good to go. So, and even before that, actually the doctor said that I can start walking, so I'm going to do that tonight. Finally, I enjoy exercising. A big part of it, folks, is I would put myself last. I have kids, family, work, and I would kind of leave exercise to the end of the day. And sometimes, I'm too tired to exercise, and that's got to change. So this is literally a wake-up call, and I'm going to turn out just fine. So it's all actually very good news, believe it or not. Sometimes you have to be hit with a sledgehammer to get your attention, and in this case, that's pretty much what happened to me. But also, real quick too, I could not have done this without the help of my wife. We were actually on a little getaway. I had surprised her. This didn't happen in Wilmington. This is what makes it even more bizarre. I had set up this nice 2-night getaway to Las Vegas. We enjoy going and catching a show or something. We're not big gamblers or anything. We don't go and stay in the high roller suite, nothing like that. And took advantage of some airline miles and other things to, make it affordable. But we needed some time away. It's good for a couple to do that. And bam, this hit on the second night, right before we were, actually we were just done with a show that we had seen, a comedy show. So it happened on the 20th in Las Vegas. So between my wife, who's an ER nurse herself, lucky me, and the folks at University Medical Center and friends of mine who happen to live in Las Vegas, Tracy Wilson, Paul Bowman, and Crystal Patterson, all of you, and even a total stranger that knows somebody that works with my wife back in Wilmington came by. Wow, what an experience. What an amazing show of how much people care. You know, I care about all of you, trying to educate you and get you aware of primarily hurricane threats, but other weather. And it kind of got the tables turned on me with people showing how much they cared for me. So, believe it or not, all things considered, this is going to be a good thing, and I'm making progress. And here I am. I'm able to do this update. So, that's what's been happening with me. Now, let's take a look at what's happening in the world of the tropics and hurricanes, right? Weather, etc. I want to get back into this. I do. This is going to be good for me, and getting back on this regular schedule, etc. I'm really looking forward to it. And at least I can just sit here and do it. I don't have to exert myself. All right. So getting down to business here, the SOI, interesting that we had this pretty good rise over the last little while, a little bit of a dip lately, but again, not suggesting major El Nino numbers whatsoever. So that's good, I guess, in one regard. Remember, El Nino is like a big kick to the system with a lot of added heat, especially out here in the tropical Pacific. And, you know, when you heat up a huge area like that, abnormally so, you can have problems. You know, so there's some pretty good positive anomalies all through here along the equator. I don't think it's been officially declared an El Nino yet, but I'm going to show you something interesting in a moment with the subsurface anomalies. This, of course, is at the surface. And notice, too, hey, for what it's worth, pretty good chunk of the main development region out here to the southwest of the African coast starting to warm up pretty substantially. You know, we're not seeing that cold pool and tongue or whatever nose its way down here out of the subtropics. This is all pretty warm relative to average, so that'll be something to monitor. And that's a big part of what I do in this off-season discussion. So as this animation goes through, check this out. This is earlier, November, right? It's moving on early December, mid-December. Look at that. I find this to be very intriguing. That's where it was the warmest, and then all of a sudden, where'd that come from? So that's something else I want to keep an eye on. Basin-wide, yeah, that's a pretty large area of positive anomalies, but look from where we started in November to where we are there at the end of December. So, you know, things seem to be changing. It's generally warmer than normal overall, but not an overwhelming, sweeping, you know, news gather, what is the word I'm looking at? Headline making El Nino. We're not there. And then this very curious, you know, intrusion of this cold anomaly sort of poking up through everything is intriguing. And the SOI, like I mentioned, real quick, just look at that again. You know, the 90-day average is, you know, 4.48, for goodness sakes. In fact, the 30-day average technically would be more of a La Nina signature, where your pressures are lower way out to the west, and so the net flow of air across this area would be more this way. It's kind of an oversimplification of it, but clearly things are not going gangbusters towards some epic El Nino. All right, come on, let's cooperate here. Thank you. All right, so lower 48 weather real quick. It was interesting when I was out in Vegas and having the incident, and we did have a good time for, you know, about 60 hours or so, or not even that. Let's see, we landed on a Wednesday. This happened Thursday night. Took a week to get out of there. And believe me, I was watching the weather big time, timing my flight home. And I didn't want any turbulence. So I purposely, you remember that pretty good storm that came across and brought all the heavy rain down here? Well, I delayed the trip by about a day and a half, about 36 hours to avoid that. So it helps to know the weather. You can avoid that turbulence. That was one of the smoothest flights back from Vegas over to Charlotte and then on to Wilmington. That was no problem. We took the red eye. But this is an interesting map for January the 2nd. If you recall, last year We were getting ready to have a blizzard up through here. There was snow all the way down into this area, and it was frigid in the east. Well, yesterday, it was darn near 80 degrees in Wilmington, North Carolina. And look at all that. When you see green and whatever in January, well, yeah, you know it's warm. So those are flood watches, etc. So really the cold air and the storminess in terms of winter confined out here to the southern reaches of Arizona and New Mexico, for goodness sakes. So we're kind of in this weird pattern where we're not having any of these deep longitudinal troughs carve in and big storms riding up the East Coast with blizzards. Just kind of a progressive pattern, not locked into any frigid cold, which right now, that's fine with me. So real quick, looking at the wonderful work of Levi Cowan, Tropical Tidbits from today's GFS, the 12Z version. We'll just kind of run through it here. On into the new year, little storm system forms out of the Gulf. Lots of moisture tries to come up with it, of course, but there's not much cold air. The flow generally just not linking that Arctic air, the Canadian air, down into the 48, lower 48. I'll show you that in a better representation in just a moment. So if we just go through the next few days, a little storm system, kind of an innocuous little nor'easter, all rain probably. And then by and large, it's the desert southwest again, northern Mexico, parts of the Intermountain West, with any kind of storminess as we progress through the full first week of January 2019. Wonder if I'm ever going to screw up and call it 2018. Hopefully not. And as you go through the next, what is this, almost 6 days, 7 days, maybe something out there in the future for some snow up in New England, a little bit more of a hint of cold, but no big signatures in the guidance of a massive cold outbreak or any big-time storms, especially for the East Coast here. So interesting that winter seems to be a little bit delayed, but I bet it's not going to be denied, which is fine. That'll continue to give me time to gather my strength and be ready to go out and cover winter storms in the off season, like I've been planning on. So it's interesting. Nature's giving me a break. How about that? How often does that happen? So this is the upper level pattern, roughly the same time scale, and you can see just a little bit of a cutoff low down here in the desert southwest. Otherwise, generally zonal flow, almost a ridge. Basically, this is not the look of super Arctic cold air. See what I mean? There's just no buckling. Really pay attention to this through here. There's no buckling of that jet stream, if you will. The heights just don't collapse. So you just get these smaller impulses. Yeah, some storminess and troughiness out west, but nothing on a major scale over the next couple of weeks or so. And again, hey, I'll take it. What are we looking at? 6 days, 7 days. A little bit of a hint there. That's some pretty low heights over New England. That might trigger some kind of a coastal storm, something to keep an eye on in about a week's time. But the main message here, if you don't like frigid air, especially any long-term bouts of it, that's not a bad pattern. If we go on, that's 8 days. We're getting into the realm of, not very reliable even with these large features, but not a bad pattern for the lower 48. Energy-wise, travel headaches, whether you're flying, driving, whatever. It's not that bad of a setup. Come on, trying to get me back. Considering we are in January. So there you have it. It is good to be back. Believe me, I've been wanting to do something to get back in and say hi to everybody ever since this happened. I was just like, oh, come on. But again, to recap about me, the news is good. Today was a really good day. When I met with that surgeon, and he was very positive about everything, and he was taking a look at the records and so forth. I knew, I was like, all right, when I get home from everything, we had a nice lunch, healthy lunch. My wife and I was like, you know what, I'm going to get in the office, and I'm going to do what I do best. And I'm serious, everybody. That idea of Mark 2.0, that's it. That's what's going to happen. It's like a rebirth. how many people get a second chance, honestly? And I got that. And, who knows why? But I am very grateful, and I'm going to take advantage of it. And I'm going to come out the other side, and, be somebody different and better. It's going to be awesome. So, keeping an eye on things. I think it's interesting just to kind of recap about the weather real quick. That interesting sort of look to the overall ENSO, El Nino Southern Oscillation. And why does this matter real quick, just to try to sum up here? That's one of the big things that I look for as we approach, and now we're less than 5 months. Isn't that unbelievable? 5 months already till hurricane season. What shapes the season ahead? And whether or not we have an El Nino in place is a huge, huge driver. And then, of course, the sea surface temperatures in the Atlantic, where they're located, etc. These are all those big puzzle pieces that we can fairly easily track in the off season and then as things get started in May and June and beyond. So, yeah, we'll take a visit at those different things. I'm glad they didn't go unoperational since the government shutdown's going on. I was a little worried that some of these graphics wouldn't update because maybe they weren't priority or something. But there they were. All right, so that's it. So what is today? It's Wednesday. Let's wait till Monday, right? Well, I want to do these on Monday, make it a regular thing. So, yeah, Monday. I'll be back, take another look at things, and I'll probably be even stronger then than I am today. So that's it. I am Mark Sudduth, working on 2.0. Not there yet. I got to earn it, right? I'm not there yet, but it's going to happen. I'll let you know when it's Mark 2.0. But, hey, it's good to be back. I am Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com. Thank you, everybody, for everything. I appreciate it. On the road to recovery, and boy, do I look forward to it. I'll talk to you all again on Monday.